Hello, everyone. My name is Longtail Animation, and I'm here to talk about character design, characters of culture, POC characters, and some of the hard truths you may need to hear when it comes to your character designs. Because I was shared a video from an artist on TikTok of a woman complaining about how her Asian character keeps being mistaken as white, and the description of that character was pale skin, blue eyes, blonde hair. And looking at her art and how she depicts these Asian characters, it's like, yeah, they're definitely white. Instead of going for realism, it's very stylized. It seems more like if anime was a little bit of life drawing, still the thin nose, still the thin lips, small mouth, and the big eyes, which is applied to everybody in anime. Everybody except for like black people. A lot of the times they don't give black characters those features if we even appear in anime. So it's mostly white and Asian characters that get those characteristics. So if you're trying to emphasize that your character is Asian, you need to steer clear of the big eyes, the small nose, the thin small lips. And I would say take from traditional Asian arts, because before the influence of Western media, that's how they depicted themselves. Just revamp it for a more modern kind of style, and there shouldn't be any problem. But it seems like the artist really wants the validation of possibly non-Asian people. Because if non-Asian people are not seeing your character as not Asian, then whatever, you know. Like, why are you looking for the validation of people outside of your culture, you know? As long as you're happy and your peoples are happy with the representation, what matters? But if within your own culture, within your own peoples, they're looking at your character and thinking, yeah, that's white, then you probably need to redesign a lot of your characters. Because like I said, I would go to more of a traditional, just kind of revamp it. Like, look at how they drew their eyes back then, how they drew their noses back then, their facial features, the shape of their face, the way of their lips, and try to go for that. Because I did that. When it came to the whole blackwashing, you know, why you're making these characters like they're Disney characters, which is ironic given the inspiration for a lot of animes was from Disney's Snow White. And I did that with a lot of the Asian characters. I revamped the anime art style to look more like traditional Japanese arts that you would see from that time period. And some people thought it was cool, but a lot of people felt uncanny about these anime characters actually looking Japanese. So, but in her comments, I had left that you really need to emphasize, as much as you emphasize this character having blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, that you need to really emphasize the other features, like a wide or round nose, full lips, maybe the shape of their face, maybe the melanin in their skin, as well as when you're displaying these characters' eyes, don't try to like idolize their eyes to make it look more anime. Cause the woman, she had said that she referenced her character. Her character, it turns out to be Asian, so white and Asian. But when it came to her speaking on what Asian woman she referenced her character on, all she could say was the eyes. And even then, looking side by side, I'm like, I don't see it. I see anime eyes. I don't see Asian eyes or the eyes of that woman. I don't see it. I see anime eyes with some bags under it, and that's it. So again, I would veer away from anime style, because even though I want to say maybe 80% of anime is Asian, the rest is mostly white or Asian. So you're going to get confusion, because in anime, there's no differentiation when it comes to the eyes. Unless it's like an old German or Russian man, because I tend to see them really emphasize them, drawing them with noses and different facial features to show that they're foreigners in the anime. There was another thing. And the fact that it's fantasy, I'm going to assume it's medieval fantasy. So that even hits home for people to think, yeah, your character may be white if this fantasy is mostly focused on European medieval times, because that tends to be a lot when it comes to animes, where most of these characters get flung into medieval fantasy world instead of feudal Japan or the dynasties of like Asian culture. So it could also be your setting of the fantasy that may be selling people thinking, okay, this is a European fantasy. Your characters are white. And she was showing me the other characters that she displayed. You know, some had red hair, some had like a dark blue hair, which is, I guess, a style for black. And they all had the same problem. Thin nose, small lips, big eyes. Just the eye color being different, but the shape of their eyes were pretty much the same as anime eyes. They didn't seem to have a vast variation. It was pretty much same face syndrome, just with a more realistically drawn kind of art style. And back to my comment when I said that you have to emphasize. Like, if you're going to emphasize so much about characters being blonde, blue-eyed, and pale, you're going to have to emphasize the features that aren't stereotypically white. So wide noses, that's going to make people stop and think, okay, this may not be, you know, a Westerner. Full lips, okay. That may, you know, the nose to lip combo, okay, that may not be a, you know, Westerner. It'll have people stop and think if they happen to have a bit of melanin in their skin, if they have gold or red undertones, okay, that's something. Cause the visual description, like the visuals that she was showing, again, like white or Asian, I would have never thought full-blown Asian, and they all kind of had the same face. I gave an example. Apparently the example is from 4chan, and it's kind of problematic, but it still speaks true of the comparisons between if these Asian characters were actually referenced by a Asian person versus these Asian characters that were referenced by a white person, and how their character designs are drastically different. You see the noses and you see the lips. You know, the hair color, like whatever. Asian people could change their hair color as much as anybody on the planet Earth. But it was specifically their nose and their lips that was distinctively different than what was shown on the characters that were referenced by white people. And a lot of Asian people don't want to admit to that they have more features that are more leaning towards black features than white features. I saw a drawing, well, it was several drawings, but in one piece, not years ago, I want to say maybe last year or maybe earlier this year, where they were showing different drawings of men from different parts of Asia. And I'm gonna post it here. Guess which one, when it came to, I guess, other people from those regions, guess which one got the most made fun of? Guess which one they thought they did dirty? They did grimy on when it came to the representation of men of each section of Asia? Which one? Of course, it's the one that, to me, looks like my cousins, my brother, just lighter skin with straight hair. So the one that has full lips and a round nose or wide nose gets made fun of, that is pointed out as being done dirty, when they're the ones with the closest, blackest features to us. There's a lot of self-hate in the Asian community. Like, just like how there's a lot of self-hate in the black community when it comes to colorism, but a lot of them aren't comfortable with that conversation, and so I got blocked by that artist when I pointed that out. Like, and before I got blocked, they made another video. They admitted that their character was Asian, and that the only feature that they wanted was the eyes, which is like some of the most sought out features when it comes to non-white stereotypical, is the eyes, not the nose, not the lips. Cause when it came to her character design of that specific character, the nose was thin, the mouth was thin and small. The only thing that she sought after was the eyes, which is very idealistic. So you're making a Asian character with the most idealistic features and complaining about people mostly seeing your character as white. Again, if she just wanted to complain because that brings in the views, I can understand that. You know, TikTok is weird when it comes to how to reach people. The more negativity you spew out, the more views you get. So I can understand if that's where she was going with it. But at this point, she's like in denial. Probably a lot of self-reflecting needed. She probably don't want to change her art style now because it makes her uncomfortable. If she really did lean into traditional Asian type of art styles that weren't influenced by the West. But yeah. So if you are someone that's trying to design if you are someone that's trying to design an Asian character, a pale-skinned, blue-eyed, blonde-hair Asian character, you're gonna have to emphasize the non-stereotypical white things about themselves. Because only about 10% or 3% of the planet naturally has blonde-hair, blue-eyed people, and they're not from Asia. So the few Asians that do have blonde hair, blue eyes, everything else is Asian about them. Their eyes, their nose, their lips, their skin. It's just so happened they have blonde hair and blue eyes. But you're gonna have to emphasize those features versus the mystical blonde hair, blue eye stuff. But